Hey, Facebook Live, it's that time again. Ask a Motor Cop. I'm that Motor Cop, Officer Shane Spielman, here to answer your traffic questions. And if you watched our last video, I left a hanging question over your heads. And that question was, is it illegal to ride your bike with headphones or earbuds on both ears? 75% of you said yes, it is illegal. 25% of you said no, it is not illegal. The correct answer is yes, it is illegal. Vehicle code law says that you cannot ride or drive with headphones over both ears or earbuds in both ears. You can only have one, and that's for safety, so you can hear what's going on around you, like honking and, more importantly, sirens. So thank you all for submitting your questions. And if you haven't guessed it, we're going to be talking about bicycle safety in this episode. And with that, I have two of my friends here, two of my co-workers who are also avid bicyclists. And to my right here is Sergeant Jonathan Yepes, and to my left here is Sergeant Chris Massillon. And they're here to helpfully shed some insight on some bicycle issues. So with that, John, there was a kind of a sad incident that happened not too long ago.
There was. Back in November on the 5th in 2018, Captain Kreza from the Costa Mesa Fire Department was out riding his bike, and he was struck by a vehicle and ultimately killed. So Chris and I got together and we discussed, hey, how can we update the community on bicycle safety issues? And so we came to you and asked for your help. And
absolutely. Very tragic event. Very sad to hear that happen. But we're here now, and we're going to spread the word about bicycle safety. So with Chris, we've got an event coming up.
Yeah, on March 9th, the Anaheim Police Department is going to host the
this right here
community bike ride. And this ride is going to start at Angel Stadium, and then we're going to ride down the Santa Ana River Trail to Huntington Beach. And then we'll ride north on Pacific Coast Highway up somewhere near Main Street and grab a coffee and a snack, and we'll just reverse the route. We'll come back.
You said snacks. Would that be donuts? Trick question. It's supposed to be veggies. You all know that.
And so then we'll come back south down PCH through Huntington, and then back up the river trail, back up to Angel Stadium.
All right, very good. Well, thank you guys for being here. First, I want to jump into some questions that I have from the viewers, and they are bicycle safety related. So let's get into those. And our first one here is from Mary Ann, and she asks, are bicycles subject to the same rules of the road as vehicles? Yes, they are. If you ride a bicycle, it's the same as driving a car. So all rules of the road apply. So yes, you got to obey those rules of the road. And we're going to expand on that in just a second based on these other questions. So here we go. Next question is from Koji, and Koji asks, is it illegal to ride a bike on the sidewalk when there's no bike lane? No, it is actually not illegal to ride a bicycle on the sidewalk. The California Vehicle Code states that it isn't illegal as long as there's not a local city ordinance which prohibits it. The city of Anaheim, we do not have an ordinance which prohibits it, therefore it is legal. My suggestion though is if you're in another city, make sure you check with that city to see if there's any local ordinance about riding bicycles on the sidewalk.
what about speed, riding on the sidewalk? What speed can we go?
There's no exact speed limit, but rule of thumb is you want to travel at a safe speed, a reasonable speed, so that way you can avoid hazards such as pedestrians, other vehicles, other obstacles. So please be careful when you're on the sidewalk. So thank you, Kochi, for that question. And we're going to jump to Arlene. And Arlene's got a question that says, can bicyclists who cross the streets not using a crosswalk get a ticket like jaywalking? Well, like I said before, if bicycles are vehicles, jaywalking has to do with walking, so therefore no. So here's a rule of thumb. If you're on a bicycle and you're supposed to obey the rules of the road, you got to ask yourself this question. If what I'm about to do a car can't do, then I shouldn't do it either, because I'm a vehicle. So bicycles are not pedestrians, they are considered vehicles. So thank you for that question, Arlene. And off to Dawn here, and Dawn asked, is it illegal to ride your bike against traffic? In the roadway, yes. If you're operating your bicycle in the roadway, just like I said before, you have to obey the rules of the road. Rules of the road state that you have to go in the right lanes the same way as traffic. So therefore, yes, you have to go the same way as traffic. And a word of advice, if you're on the sidewalk, make sure you travel the same way as cars as well, because if you think about it, if you're going the opposite direction on a sidewalk, somebody's pulling out in a car to enter traffic, more likely you're going to make a right turn. They're going to be looking to their left, not to their right. You got a hazard situation. So make sure you travel the same way on the sidewalk to avoid a situation like that. So thank you very much for that.
I don't know about you, Chris, but when I'm riding, I try and make myself as visible as possible,
Yes.
making eye contact with the drivers.
Yeah, I know, like, my kids ride their bikes to school, and they definitely practice that, making eye contact with motorists before they move in front of motorists. Riding with the traffic, they ride on the sidewalk because they're young kids, and to always ride with the flow of traffic and not against it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Make sure you make eye contact. I also preach that to pedestrian or during pedestrian safety classes and whatnot. Whether you're on a bicycle or walking, skateboard, scooter, you come up to a car, make sure that driver sees you, so that way each of you knows where you're at. So
Good
thank
tip.
you. Our last question is going to be from Lisa, and Lisa asked, how can you tell if your helmet fits properly or not? Well, if you check our social media page, we'll have up on Facebook, we'll have some more information about that, but here's a few quick tips. Number one, measure your head. So get some sort of cloth tape or measuring device, actually measure your head, and make sure that that head measurement matches the helmet that you're looking into. Adjust the pads. Most of the helmets have pads that you can adjust on the inside. So adjust them so that way it fits properly. Not too loose, not too tight. You don't want it to be uncomfortable. Make sure you properly adjust the straps. That's very, very important. You want to have a V underneath the ear, and very important is make sure that that buckle's buckled when you're out riding your bicycle, because it does you no good if that helmet flies off because it's not buckled. And our last one is make sure you do a test fit. So there's a rocking movement you can do. Shouldn't move more than an inch. All right, guys, any other tips on bicycle helmets?
My older son likes to do the cool where the chin strap droops down real low, you know, because it's not cool to wear it properly. And so I have to frequently go out when he's getting on his bike and grab his chin strap and make sure it's tight. So also make sure the chin strap needs to be tight so that in the event of a collision or a fall, the helmet is actually held onto your head.
Absolutely.
And after all that, everything that Officer Spielman just said, if you shake your head and your helmet still moves around, probably want to tighten it up. Call it the bobblehead rule.
The bobblehead. The bobblehead. So all of you watching, I'm trying to get permission to get bobbleheads of me made. I'd like to really pass those out, maybe have them for prizes if you answer a traffic question. Keep your fingers crossed. Hopefully in the future we'll get those. All right, guys, before we go, there's a few things that we wanted to talk about. We got some new laws coming into effect in California. We've got a 3-foot rule. John, if you don't mind just explaining what that's all about.
Right, and so what the 3-foot rule is to remind motorists to be aware of the cyclists or the bicyclists on the road. You have to give them 3 feet for safety purposes. And sometimes cyclists will venture out of the bike lane if there's debris or a pothole, and it's for their safety, and so they're allowed to take up more of the traffic lane. So motorists, just be aware of that as well.
And Chris, we also got some lane sharing laws that are coming into effect. Plus, we've already seen it in Anaheim.
Yeah, so Anaheim has these, and you're starting to see these kind of pop up all over the place in Southern California, and they're commonly referred to as sharrows. And so the way that you know you're in a sharrow is you'll usually see on the road, there'll be a painted bicycle with some arrows going the direction of traffic, and there is always usually signage on the side of the road too, but most obviously you'll see the painted bicycle on the road, and that's just letting drivers and cyclists know that when cyclists are on that lane, they have full right and access to that lane, so they don't need to be riding to the side of the road. The reason why the sharrows are becoming more popular is because of just that it's so much safer for cyclists to move through congested city areas when they're in the entire bicycle lane and not forced onto the side of the road. So we know and we all understand that it can be, or sometimes you might have the experience of the inconvenience of having to drive behind a bicycle, and I think we can all appreciate that. But just remember that those are put in place for the cyclist safety, and the cyclists are taking that lane just for their own physical well-being while they're out there riding.
Absolutely. share the road. You've probably seen or heard it. Cars, motorcycles, bicyclists, we all have to share the road. We got to keep each other safe. So just remember that. With bicycle safety, we also got some sort of operation coming up. What's that all about?
Yeah, next Friday, the Anaheim Police Department is going to be doing a bicycle safety operation, and we're going to be out in the city of Anaheim proactively looking for violations as they relate to bicycling safety. So violations of the 3-foot rule, and then also distracted driving, texted while driving, being on your devices while you're driving, riding in the bike lane. And so we just wanted to make you aware that we'll be out there doing that, and also just to let the community know that the Anaheim Police Department does take bicycling safety seriously.
Absolutely. So you've been warned. So once again, we've got our community bike ride coming up on March 9th. Please check our social media for more information on that. And John, one last thing we have that you guys are going to be partaking in.
Right. So, like you said earlier in the segment, both Chris and I are avid cyclists, and this May during Police Week, we'll be riding down from the state capitol in Sacramento down here to Anaheim. We're going to be riding over 577 miles, and it's in honor of the fallen officers from last year. And if you'd like to donate, there's going to be a link in the bio, and it goes to the Survivors and Scholarship Fund, and it's a 501c3 program, so it's a charitable donation.
Very good. For more information is on our social media about that as well. Thanks guys for coming in. I appreciate it. Please be safe out there cycling. Thank you all for watching, and as always, if you liked it, like it, subscribe, share it, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.